Alright. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Minecraft LP Test, or Test LP. I've done quite a bit between last episode and this episode. I went ahead and finished off this sort of room here. So we've got our four corners that have got these square shapes in them to sort of contrast the whole cylinder aspect of the rest of the build. Let me check my sound real quick. I think I want everything to be around 50%. I think that's a pretty good level. Okay, head on back in here. I've also completed the stairs. I think I did that last time though. The stairs and the pads, I'm pretty sure I did. So I went ahead and added these little accents here to the entrances of the different sides. Also did that. We can just take a little bit of fall damage down here as well. And I like it. It makes it sort of a more three-dimensional outcropping and entrance into the window. So you can see here, our wheat is not very well grown, and same with the potatoes. That's another thing I'm going to update you on. So last time after recording, I went ahead and decided I need to do some resource gathering. And so I've done that. I did quite a bit of caving and quite a bit of food production, I guess I'll say. Let's take a look in here. So yeah, we've got quite a bit of food. Almost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stacks of potatoes. I'm just going to throw those in here, take half of those. That'll last plenty of time. And go ahead and snack on one of those guys. Also went ahead and gathered some wood. Got some more of the spruce wood, a little bit of oak wood there. And that was to finish off this part of the project here. That was quite intensive. Still haven't finished that up yet. Let's take a look at our goodies bin here. We've got 17 diamonds because I went ahead and made leggings, and we got protection 2 on there. Not too bad. I think I only used 20 or so levels for that. Let's see, we've got our fortune pick here. I again went caving, so there's ton more redstone blocks. I need to find something that I can do with that, because that's a ridiculous amount of blocks to just be sitting in a chest. I mean, I'm never going to use that much in terms of a redstone project. So, on par for today, I want to find a better way to create a better way to get up to the top here, and figure out what exactly we're gonna do to finish off the build. What I'd like to do is extend the sides here with something non-cylindrical. I think that would be kind of a cool thing to do. What I'm kind of thinking is possibly be a little contrasting, but possibly go here and sort of extend these out on all four corners, and then maybe put some cylindrical thing in the sky. Not sure though. I'm definitely not sure on that. So unfortunately, to do that, I'm gonna have to go back to the desert, grab a ton more sandstone, probably finish off this shovel here, which efficiency 5 on breaking 3. So I think that's what I'm going to end up having to do, because I've only got that amount of sandstone there, and I'm probably going to need at least half a chest for what I'm thinking. Let's see, I also got a ton of sugar cane to make those last 2 bookshelves. Let's just do that real quick, because why not? Got the resources. Grab some wood. What do we have more of? Looks like we've got probably more of the spruce. Even though the oak isn't, we aren't using the oak for much of anything at this point. It's just gonna make a ton of bookshelves. I need to make books first, which means leather. See, that's how you used to do it before the leather part was introduced. I only need 6, right? Because I'm only making 2 bookshelves. No, I need 9, right? I'll just grab the whole stack and we'll figure that out, right? Because it's 3 books per shelf, 2 shelves. Yeah, it's only 6. Okay, go ahead and make our 6 books. And bam. I'm really a big fan of this semi-new crafting where you can just drag instead of having to individually click. Or so what it used to be was you had to go like that and then split it in half and split it in half again. Took quite a bit of time. This is a lot more optimized for faster crafting, which is awesome considering the game is Minecraft. So can we get a level 30 on here? Let's give that a test. 24, no, we need even more. I should have known that by the empty spaces here. So probably need at least 2 more, it's my guess. So today's probably going to end up being a little bit longer of a video. And that is because I really want to get this part of it done here. Just get the cylinder almost to the point where it's done. It's sort of the goal for today's episode. Alright, 2 more bookshelves. Throw those away. Come on, there we go. I feel like that takes a little bit longer than it used to. Maybe it's just because I'm recording and not wanting to worry about 28. Really? Do we need 1 more bookshelf? Or something being obstructed? I'm quite confused. That should be enough to get level 30. Maybe I need to have 30 levels? I don't know. I don't think I'm going to waste any more resources, though, with that. Paper. I guess we'll put paper back up in here, since sugarcane paper. I guess. Okay, throw that helmet back on. I don't think I've ever shown off my skin, but I guess I'll go ahead and do that now. We can go into F5 to see the back door, so to speak. F5 again to see the front door. Just a ridiculous skin that I found on one of those websites that you get skins from. Thought it was funny. Haven't really changed it since. I don't think I want music on. We'll turn it down. Well, it'll barely be there if it's there at all. What time is it? Okay, so we've got... getting a little bit close. We may end up having an issue, but let's just head off to the desert. I think I'm gonna do a lot of that off camera because gathering sand isn't gonna be a particularly fun thing to watch. So, while I travel over there, we're going to start off with our first segment, which is the quote of the day. Yes, that's right, the quote of the day. Today is the day for the quote. So, little bit of backstory before I get into the quote. So the quote is by Emerson, the philosopher, I believe. Ralph Waldo Emerson. And when I was in junior college, I worked as a technician for the biology department in the stockroom. And so during that time, I did that for about a year. I was also teaching a laboratory class at that time as well. Not too sure why that's doing that. Oh, must have gotten shot by something. So, where was I? Yes. I was working as a stockroom technician assistant, so basically setting up labs for 30-something labs a week, just getting materials, if something broke, trying to fix it, if something wasn't put out, making sure that the teachers had whatever they needed for that lab, period. So, while I was doing that, I worked for somebody who was just one of the greatest people professionally I've ever worked with before. And she went on a vacation. Hello, Pigman, following me from the nether. She went on a vacation. Need to run over to the bed here. To, I believe, New York. Went over to one of the museums there and picked up a magnet that had this quote on it. And she felt, and I agree, that it fit my personality really, really well. So, without further ado, did not think I was going to make that jump. Let's take a quick sleep, and then I guess I'll say the quote now. So, the quote is, all of life is an experiment. The more experiments you make, the better. Now, this quote is something that so yes, my boss was correct in that I did indeed like that quote, and I definitely like that quote for reasons similar to why I like the quote last time. Last time we were talking about how you can't judge yourself necessarily to others, and that's sort of one of the experiments, sort of social experiments that you run when you are younger, is learning. So the experiment of, well, this person has X, Y, and Z, and you know, become jealous of that, or however your feeling sort of manifests towards that. And then your sort of reaction over time, as you sort of grow up and mature, you sort of realize, hey, I can't compare myself to this person or that person. And that's sort of one of those social experiments that you learn. So you're sort of, if you want to go through the scientific method, your first hypothesis is that comparing yourself to somebody else is a good idea because it can enrich you as a person, because it will teach you to how to sort of become them. And so that's the hypothesis. That's sort of what you're thinking based off of original assessment of the situation. And then you sort of realize that as life goes on, you really can't judge yourself to the same degree that other people, their successes or their failures or anything like that. You just can't. Everybody's got their own set of challenges in life and differences and all that kind of stuff. And so you sort of realize, based off of observations, you don't necessarily do experiments in the traditional sense, but through observational analysis, you realize that that's something you can't really do. And you realize that, again, through those sort of observations that you end up making. So and then those observations, you draw the conclusions, hopefully, that you shouldn't judge yourself similarly to other people. So that's sort of one of the experiments that you make in life. Other experiments, you know, even something as trivial as trying something new, whether that's taking a class that you thought you would never be interested in, or having, you know, driving a new car, you know, whatever it is. Those are more experiments, and through those experiments, you learn more not only about yourself, but sort of about the world. I think a lot of people, whether they realize it or not, tend to be sort of sheltered from that reality until they sort of reach a certain age, and of course that age is going to vary person to person. But that's sort of the reason why I like that quote, is that it's very true, and sort of the more experiments you run, the more knowledge about yourself and society that you end up learning. And so the last part of that quote, the more experiments you make, the better. Not just better for yourself, but better for society, because maybe you realize, hey, I shouldn't act that way, or hey, I shouldn't do this because what if you know, I was in their shoes, or whatever the case may end up being. So sort of why I like that quote, and I've got that quote as a magnet on my refrigerator. I think one of the only magnets that I actually do have. So anyway, I'm going to continue to gather dirt and then just make a quick jump cut. Before I make said jump cut, I should say I'm not gathering dirt, but I'm gathering sand. Now, to make that quick jump cut back to our base here in the cylinder. So as you can see, I've got quite a few levels. I went ahead and collected some quartz. I threw most of that stuff in chests already. I will show you the sandstone chest in just a moment. We also cooked up ourselves some potatoes. Potatoes don't go there. Potatoes go back in that same chest. There we go. I think I need to turn that sound back down to about 50%, because when I was in the nether, I wanted to be able to hear everything just in case, So let's take ourselves a quick little sleep. Get rid of this nighttime here. Oh, yeah, feels good. Feels good to lay down. Okay, and we're back here. So let's see how much it's going to cost to repair our shovel back up to full. 27, that's fine. Okay, and we are back here. Now let's go ahead and take a look-see at the amount of sandstone we've got. So So, I think that should be enough to get done what I want to get done right now. I'm going to go ahead and grab some of that too, just in case. I'm going to go ahead and grab some dirt as well, because dirt is always good for scaffolding and such things. So, let's head on up. Where's our ladder? Ladder's over there. Head on upstairs to the top floor to start... Oh, to start our... Come on. Our finishing final sort of level here. So I think... I think we're just going to start on up here at the top and sort of work our way... So the issue is on the flat sides of the circle, right? We've already got... That's where we've got most of our... What do I want to call these things? Sort of extensions? Gosh, what is the word I'm looking for there? Landings? Whatever you want to call them. Now, if I do it over on these corners instead, it might add a bit of variety and uniqueness to the top of the build. So I think that's what I'm going to end up doing here. I haven't worked this out in creative at all, because this was something I just sort of wanted to try, see if I liked, see what would sort of become of it. So let's bring this out. I have no idea how many blocks I even really want to bring it out. So I guess this is somewhat of our center. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 5. Let's try at least 10. So while I am building, I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next part of the show here. And that is either going to be the question of the day or the joke of the day. Now, the problem with the joke of the day, it is a little bit longer. And I'm still not 100% sure if I want to just paraphrase them or if I would prefer the author's original writing. So for these first couple ones, I think I want to prefer the author's original writing of them so I don't end up stepping on the joke at all. So with that being said, I think I'm going to move on to the question of the day instead. Let's see how far out we are now from our center point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, one more. So the question of the day is, what do you think, of course you is me, what do you think love is? Chemical, intellectual, spiritual, or completely undefinable? And I like this question for multiple reasons. One of which is I don't have any torches. So I need to grab some torches. Missed it. So, as a scientist, as somebody who has read studies about love and about the properties, I guess, since we're sort of talking about the properties of them, sort of the properties of said love. This is a very difficult question. So, from the standpoint of the biology, love is something that only happens for a short period of time. We're talking weeks to months for the most part. So and then, generally characterized by certain feelings, such as butterflies in the stomach, feeling nervous around the person, all that kind of stuff. And those sort of related feelings that you get when you are first, in love with somebody. So that's sort of how we have defined it. We, being scientists, have defined that period of time. And that is only for a brief period of time. That is only for weeks to months for the most part for most people. With that being said, let's see, where is the center point? I guess this one. want that to be the center point? Well, it is now if it wasn't before. This isn't a perfectly symmetrical build. In many cases down below, that is evident, and some places a little bit more discreet. So back to the question at hand here. We realize that love is a short-term thing, and it biologically does somewhat make sense. We tend to not be creatures from a biological standpoint who are built for, are made for, whatever, monogamy. And I know that's maybe a somewhat controversial thing to say, but it is sort of true. Now, if you think about what happens, the feelings that you have when you are in love, they are all chemical. You know, they are these feelings that are being released in the the forms of dopamine and things such as those, and so that's why it feels good, and that's why you have this feeling of just overwhelming joy that you don't necessarily have otherwise. Let's count real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Off by 1, darn it. And we're gonna lose all these. Oh, got that one back. Nope. Back there. Okay. Yeah. Just as I thought. I'm gonna lose them all. Oh, that hard-earned sandstone. Just bam. Gone. Okay. Yeah, it's not exactly centered, but it'll work. And those feelings are basically, those feelings of love are basically your body's reward center. It's rewarding you for doing what you're supposed to be doing. So this sort of branches off into not necessarily not psychological, but philosophical question of what is sort of our purpose in life. And from a purely strictly biological standpoint, of course, that is to reproduce, have your genes passed on to the next generation. That is, from biological standpoint, that is your purpose in this life. And so of course you're going to be rewarded for that attempt, I guess I'll say, in doing that and in finding a potential partner. So generally, why would I be placing dirt? So generally, these feelings don't last. These feelings of quote unquote love don't last. Now there are, interestingly enough, quite a few different cases where that isn't true. So what we do is we can put people in functional MRIs or fMRI machines and measure different areas of brain activity. So what has been done is studies in terms of long-term love are people who say they feel the exact same way that they did about that person the day they met, and we can see that in their brain scans. When we show them a picture of their partner, we can see their pleasure centers lighting up as if they are madly in love with this person. But for the most part, that doesn't end up happening. You don't end up having these long-term feelings. Or not feelings, but you don't have these long-term or longevity of those feelings. Let me count real quick. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Whew, perfect. 10. And what generally happens is you move on to sort of what's known as, or what is referred to as, more long-term or long stage love, I guess I'll call it. And you have different areas sort of lighting up, sort of different centers, pleasure centers lighting up from that. And so to sort of get back to the original question of, do you think it's chemical, intellectual, spiritual, or something that's not definable? Yes, I think it is something that's definable. I think it's been defined fairly clearly. I think what a lot of people end up mistaking falling out of love is, how do I want to sort of word that, is mistaking that change in feelings from having all of that dopamine released and having all these pleasure centers in the brain light up from that to something else where you don't necessarily have that. And I think what a lot of people, especially when they're younger, they sort of mistake those two things. They claim, oh, I end up, falling out of love with somebody, when in reality it's just sort of yes, you don't have those same butterflies and feelings and whatnot, because yes, you are comfortable with that person, but that is a completely different stage of love. So I think it is a chemical thing, and I also think those sticky feets. I also think that it is an intellectual thing as well, because most people, when they do end up transitioning from that short term to that more long term love, that's more of an intellectual love than it is a chemical one. And I think that is what happens when, not what happens, but I think what happens when a lot of couples sort of get into that stage, they lose interest, or something else happens, or there's something new and exciting that they would prefer to go to, and that new and exciting is that thing that will again release sort of those more dopamine-esque feelings. No, that side's not done yet, is it? So I guess I think it's, yes, it is chemical, and that's been proven more or less. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, 9 and 10. So it's an interesting sort of question to ask somebody, a scientist, or in this case biologist, because we know that it is more than just sort of a simple thing. So I guess that's sort of my feelings on it. And yeah, I think that more or less answers that. So what I'd like to do is actually jump on down. Ooh, this is going to be quite a questionable jump, isn't it? Not too bad. And I just want to sort of see what this looks like from afar, because I think I want to extend it at least 10 more blocks, so it's just sort of this more defining shape. I don't like it. I really don't like that. I'm not feeling that at all. I'm just really not feeling that. Alright, well, I'm gonna chop that down, do another cut. Alright, so I think I've got something here that I can work with and that I do like. At least on the one side. We'll see what it looks like when we get it on all four and get it a little bit more built up here, but I think this will be sort of the last vertical element here towards this build. And then I can move everything around a little bit and then move ourselves on along to the next thing. So, memory serves. Yep, this guy goes. Nope, didn't want both of them to go. Just the one. That's all I really wanted, was the one. Okay, that's better. And move back. Take these out. Okay. So, we've got that. I sort of like the idea of having it being a onesie, if you will. Let's build it up really quickly, at least a couple layers. I want it to look 3D from the bottom as well, sort of at least semi-three-dimensional, so you can see that there's differences in depth and whatnot. So what I want to do is go ahead and build this up a little bit, and then make the floor sort of one up, or one up, if you will. That's, oh, because I haven't built that up yet. That's why it looked funky. But jump on in. So I think I went and recovered most of that sandstone. Probably lost about quarter stack or so, maybe something like that. So got most of it back, not too big of a loss. What I discovered was with this efficiency 4 pick that I've got here, when I was in the desert, I hit sandstone and just regular smooth stone. And when I would pick sandstone first, it would take out the smooth stone just as quickly. Normally it takes it maybe, I don't know, half a second longer, but it would pick it just as quickly when I would do it that with this pick here, if I smacked a smooth stone first. So kind of an interesting thing there. So I'm just going to fill this guy in here. So, oh, come on. I've also got, so this is obviously quite a bit longer episode. You would have known that before just because of the fact that when I sat down, I didn't know. But the video itself will have the length that it actually is. So, with that being said, I do have some science quotes, and I do have the joke of the day as well. So, I think I'm going to go ahead and do the joke of the day. Now, this one, basically what I did is just went in to Google, looked up 100 of the best jokes of all time, kind of a deal, and went ahead and found this website that's got, like I said before, they're a little bit long form, and I definitely prefer that sort of over more the not so long form. So I am gonna jump on. Is it almost nighttime? It is. So you know what? We're gonna watch the sunset as I read the joke, or fall to my almost death. Oh, at least we can get the sandstone here. That'll be nice. Do I have a viewing platform that we can see sort of this cool sunset? Okay, sure, like that. How's that look? So, a man joins a monastery and takes a vow of silence. He's only allowed to say 2 words every 7 years. After the first 7 years, the elder brings him in and asks him for his 2 words. "Cold floors," he says. They nod and send him away. 7 years pass again. They bring him back and ask him again for his 2 words. He clears his throat and says, "Bad food." They once again nod and send him away. A final 7 years passes. They bring him in for his 2 words. "I quit," he says. They look at him and say, "That's not surprising. You've done nothing but complain since you've got here." Now, I like this joke, and I'll tell you why. It's, again, it's the long format, which I do like, but what sort of brings it home is that 7 years, 7 whole years, he's not allowed to talk. And what does he do? He does exactly what you and I would do. Complain. Complain, complain, complain. If that's all you got to do is say 2 words after 7 whole years, it's exactly what you would do too. I think I stepped on it a little bit there at the end when I said after the final 7 years. That was a slip of the tongue. I definitely did not mean to say that part of it, so do apologize for that. But that is quite a funny joke. I like that one. So I think I'm going to build this up a couple more. Take a little bit of a look-see from the ground and see what I can see. I don't know if I should build no, you know what, I'm not going to. I'm not going to build sort of a safety rail. I don't think it needs it. I think it sort of adds to that element of danger, if you will. Oops, come on, whoa, wrong button. So we'll go up at least 2 more, bring this on around here, and then jump on down, see what we can see. This is definitely the highest point of the build, in case that wasn't evident. Now, I'm not sure if I'm going to do this on all 4 sides, or if I just want to do it on just this one side, or 2 sides, or sort of where I'm going to go with that. Probably going to keep the same theme here. Throw some scaffolding up real quick. Take that guy down. I'll grab some smooth stone in a little bit to finish that up. Let's go ahead and finish up this last little, nope, that's not the right spot. Finish up this little bit here, and then jump on down, and then I'll bring up some science news. Oh, did I not grab? Yes, I did. Particles. Particles acting strange. In terms of functionality, I am not sure at all what the functionality of something like that would or will be. I apologize if you can hear the kid stomping around upstairs. He is quite young and not getting his way, so as a young child would do, he's throwing a tantrum. Okay, so we can get down through there. Yes, I made it. I did not think I was going to make that. I tried that before and definitely did not make it. So with my sort of chicken farm thing that I've got going on there, basically the ones that are in that sort of ugly pen are, you can sort of think of them as the seed chickens, if you will. It was interesting because I grabbed, I don't know, 4 or 5 stacks, just threw them directly up right around here. They fell down, jumped up here, and then jumped into the pen, so I ended up having a lot more chickens than before. But sort of the plan with those guys is just to throw them around randomly and have free-range chickens that I can just, oop, missed him, kill whenever, grab a little XP orb, and then get some XP from that. I'm not sure. I think I may end up going with that sort of guardrail, so it looks like there's just something sturdier holding it on, because right now it just looks sort of out of place. Probably going to go up another 10 or so blocks from that height, and I'll probably also do it at least on these 2 sides. And I'll probably end up throwing a water source block in there that'll fall somewhere down. But yeah, so let me jump on over to that my page here, and oh no, wanted to make it smaller. Well, you can see it. There's This Week in Science, July 1st to the 7th, and we've got some cool things going on here. Researchers discover taste receptors on mouse testicles and found that they tried to remove them. They were rendered infertile. Interesting, interesting. Let's see, we've got a couple other things. If you're interested, you can of course pause the video and take a more in-depth look at that, but that was sort of the just quick brief look at some science news there. I didn't really prep as well for that as I did for the other ones because I wasn't sure if I was going to end up using it or not, and of course I have. I guess I'll show you the mine really quick, since I did do a little bit of work off camera, and by a little bit I mean I spent quite a few hours yesterday. I was just sort of in a resource gathering mood where I really wanted to grab some diamonds. I was down to almost nothing after making those pants, so I went ahead and got myself some more diamonds. Sprint mechanic is still acting a little bit funny, but what I did here was just sort of tunnel down that direction, and every time it would lead into this lake lava thing. So after a little bit of just hitting that, I went ahead. Hello, Mr. Skeleton. Drop your bow. Drop your bow. Come on, give me your bow. Didn't give me your bow, did you? No, didn't give me your bow. So I hit this lake lava, and then I just sort of dug around, and I believe it was here that I ended up finding a huge vein of diamonds. With my fortune pick, I was able to average 2 diamonds per block, which is pretty darn cool, because I think it was a vein of 6, and I got 12 diamonds out of it. So it was pretty cool. Definitely helped me out with tools and whatnot. So yeah, I think that's going to basically wrap it up here for this episode. I do apologize for the science news not being as professional as I would have liked, but that's what this whole test series is about, learning and all of that good stuff there. So for next time, I will probably work on that a little bit there, and I'm thinking about starting up a sort of a new series where I am going to be doing more of an adventure series. So This will sort of be the staple. We'll still have the quote of the day, question of the day, science news, joke of the day, that sort of thing. In the adventure series, I will probably make it a hardcore map and go from there. So, yes, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you all next time.